Hello guys, welcome to another video. We will start today with a secret behind the Chum Bucket and we will see what will happen. I don't know the secret. Let's go.
So the Chum Bucket is the main rival restaurant of the Krusty Krab, which ends up getting next to 0 customers. But the few times people do eat there, we learn a lot from them. Let's count how many times people eat at the Chum Bucket. 1. In the episode
I remember in the movie, in the first SpongeBob movie, he was manipulating with
SpongeKiss, he sells chum in his new Coliseum restaurant as a backup plan. 2. Plankton gets a regular customer in the episode Plankton's Regular, who we later learned was being paid by Karen to eat at the Chum Bucket to make Plankton happy. 3. The Chum Bucket gets a ton of customers when Patrick changes Plankton's slogan. People only bought the chum for the slogan instead of the taste.
It's in one episode he was become the list for the burger? I don't know.
Happened in the episode Chum Bucket Supreme. Towards the end, the public got bored of the slogan and went back to the Krusty Krab after Plankton insulted them. 4. The people started going to the Chum Bucket only because of the Chum Caverns, which people only went for the view and not the food, except Patrick, in the episode Chum Caverns. 5. Plankton
I wasn't know.
Competes with crabs and sells grease to customers. This time they don't want to buy chum, but instead the grease in the episode Greasy Buffoons. But at the start of the episode he does cover his chum in grease, which people buy because it tastes good. 6. In the episode Free Samples, he gives free chum burgers disguised as Krabby Patties to get customers to start hating the Krusty Krab. 7. The closest he ever gets to the Krabby Patty formula was in the episode For Here or To Go, where he gets a free Krabby Patty and reverse engineers the formula to sell it to customers. But he messes it up and people leave disgusted. 8. One of the only times Plankton gets genuine customers was in the episode Chum Fricassee. This all happens because Squidward uses his grandmother's secret
was work for him? I wasn't know.
Recipe to make chum taste good. But after undercooking a batch, everyone turns on the restaurant and leaves. At one point, the Chum Bucket had a waiting for 2 years, which shows just how
crazy. I don't know this episode.
Far they got. 9. He also ends up selling raw chum to SpongeBob and Sandy in the episode Squirrel Record. 10. We learn that the criminals in Bikini Bottom buy chum to commit crimes in the episode Jailbreak. 11. Finally, the only time someone genuinely wants chum was in the episode The Hankering, where Mr. Krabs reveals his chum addiction and trades the secret formula for a lifetime supply of chum from Plankton. So apart from that last example, we saw 10 examples where someone bought chum, but there was a catch. They bought the chum because of the atmosphere, for personal use, the name, or when it somehow actually tasted good the few times it did when something was added to it. The only time someone bought raw chum for its taste was when Mr. Krabs bought it because he likes chum. So if no one likes chum, then why does Plankton sell it? Wouldn't it be better to sell foods that people actually want to eat? So we've only seen Plankton not sell chum twice in the entire show.
Now we will see the truth.
In the episode New Leaf, Plankton sells knickknacks because he pretends to quit the restaurant business to pursue something new. At the end of the episode, we learn that it was all a big lie to get the secret formula. Also, as I mentioned, Plankton started selling pure grease in the episode Greasy Buffoons to combat Mr. Krabs. Since both times didn't work out, it might be why Plankton never tried to switch again. But why did he start selling chum to begin with? Well, in the episode Friend or Foe, we learned that Plankton and Mr. Krabs used to be friends a long time ago, but because of a dispute over a recipe, their friendship fell through. From all the flashbacks, we learned that one of the ingredients in the Krabby Patty is
okay, that's why.
Chum, which is the only ingredient that Plankton knew when he started his new restaurant.
Okay, that makes sense.
After they became enemies, Plankton used science and chum to make the perfect burger, which no one liked. Because chum is the only ingredient Plankton knows for sure, he centered his entire restaurant around chum. But why would he do that? Well, in the episode The Krabby Chronicle, we see Plankton trying to make a new chum recipe to rival Mr. Krabs. It seems that for the longest time, Plankton has been trying to make the perfect burger, which is centered around chum because that's the only ingredient he knows is in the Krabby Patty for sure. This shows that Plankton's only goal has been to replicate Krabs' success instead of trying to make his own success. He wants to get that burger recipe that they made together because he believes that he has a part in that recipe and wants his share of the success, which sounds pretty fair to me because Krabs would have never gotten that recipe if it wasn't for Plankton. But why does Plankton have an entire restaurant themed around Chum when all he knows is that there's a little bit of Chum inside the Krabby Patty? Why does he sell raw or cooked Chum when people clearly don't want to buy it? Also, why is everything on the menu related to Chum? Why do the fries or shakes have to have Chum inside of them? Plankton himself
Tell me why.
said that Chum is inedible in the episode Chum Fricassee, which makes this question all the more interesting. If he knows that, then why hasn't he tried anything else? The few times he's tried to create a new recipe with Chum was in the episode The Krabby Chronicle and The Patty Caper. One thing we learned in the episode The Patty Caper is that Plankton knows all but the secret ingredient in the Krabby Patty, and so he's been going through the alphabet.
Tried 1,000 times. 1,000 times to make this burger. All the time he tried to make it
For years to try every ingredient possible until he can get the Krabby Patty correct. Going through every single word in the English language would obviously take a long time, and so this episode helps us understand that Plankton sells Chum, but behind the scenes, he's been trying to get that final secret ingredient for decades. This would explain why Plankton hasn't changed his menu to have customers try his creations, because he wants it to be perfect before he rolls it out to customers. So now we know that Plankton sells Chum because he's trying to perfect the Krabby Patty secret formula so he can roll it out to the public. Until he does that, he's still selling Chum to those willing to buy it for whatever use. One thing to remember from the same episode is that Plankton tried
He was become the paper with the Chum. I think it was fake from Mr. Krabs, I think. Or it was the wrong paper. I think so. If you know it, tell me please. I don't know.
the burgers until he gets one that tastes good enough for him. But Plankton himself has never tasted a Krabby Patty. The closest he ever got to tasting one was in the episode For Here or To Go, where he swallows it in one bite to reverse engineer the formula to sell it on his own. He never tasted it. So at some point, Plankton probably went through the entire alphabet, and because he doesn't know the taste of the Krabby Patty, he probably skipped right past it. Anyways, now we know that the Chum Bucket is just a decoy for Plankton until he reverse engineers
Is fun.
the formula. It started off as a genuine competitor to Krabs, but now it's just become a decoy. But how does he even have access to all this Chum? Shouldn't
that I remember. Mr. Krabs was eat all the Chum. Yeah, I think he was love it, huh? Like that, I think it was. Wow, long time ago I was watching.
he and Mr. Krabs get arrested for selling people their own kind? We see just how strict the laws around cannibalism in Bikini Bottom are in the episode Ditchin', where someone gets arrested for having a pack of gummy fish. The police specifically accuse them of being a cannibal.
This is how you have fun, by eating your own kind.
So how do Plankton and Krabs get away with it? From the episode Plankton's Old Chum, we learn just how much chum Plankton has and had before it went bad and he had to throw it away. This makes us all question just how Plankton got a hold of so much chum with it being illegal and all. But then you have to question if chum is even legal or not in the first place. If Krabs sells it legally, then it's probably fine. But from the same episode, we learned that the health inspector knows that the Chum Bucket sells chum, but if it goes bad, then they'll get a fine. This would mean that the chum Krabs and Plankton sell is completely illegal. In the same episode, the new mayor even declares the day to be Chum Day. This wraps up the theory because if chum is legal, then it's probably pretty easy to get. Well, there's just one more problem. In the episode The Krabby Chronicle, Mr. Krabs writes a fake news article about Plankton selling chum made of fish. This gets the health inspector on him and leads to the Chum Bucket being shut down. This would mean that the real chum that Mr. Krabs eats
Wow, that's so crazy. That's so crazy.
is completely illegal. So what does Plankton sell? While we don't know what exactly Plankton sells, we do know that he would absolutely lie to the police to not go to jail. Looking back at the episode Plankton's Old Chum, we can see that the chum that Plankton has contains body parts like eyes and intestines. The only way to get those parts would be from real fish. We also see that once the chum goes bad and explodes, it's basically impossible to see any parts that were previously there. For Plankton to operate the Chum Bucket legally, he would have to pass the health code violations, one of which is for his chum. All Plankton would have to do is convince the health inspector, who probably doesn't want to eat his food like we see him do in the episode Nasty Patty, that his food is not made from fish parts. We see in episodes like Plankton's Regular and Chum Bucket Supreme that chum sticks have no body parts in them. This would only back Plankton's lie of the chum being fake and not being made from fish parts. Basically, Plankton's lying about his chum. He tells everyone that his chum is not made of fish meat, so he passes the violations. But if that's what Plankton does, then how does Krabs pass the inspection? After all, the Krabby Patty does contain a pinch of chum. Well, a while back, the show
According to serious animator Winston Wallace, there is absolutely no meat in the Krabby Patty. There is no animal product, and there is something which planned by series creators. Okay.
confirmed that the Krabby Patty was vegetarian.
There is no animal product. So Mr. Krabs is not cannibal.
If they have chum in them, then how could they be vegetarian? The only way would be for them to use fake chum. It would be like vegan chicken in our real world. Since people eat the patties and don't hate them, it would mean that people like the taste of fake chum. From the episode The Hankering, we see just how far Mr. Krabs has to go out of town just to satisfy his cravings for chum. It's so far out of town that no one even knows about the food truck. This shows just how obscure real chum is in their world. It's incredibly rare and illegal to have. Also, the food truck guy quits the business forever after giving one last plate to Mr. Krabs. His only reason to be so far out of town would be because he's serving food that's not allowed to be served. He quit after he was left with just one customer. The chum he serves had parts in them showing that it's probably illegal, and that's the reason he's so far away from town. But there's one final last question.
That's crazy. I wasn't know that's not legal.
How does Plankton have access to so much chum? If it's incredibly rare in all fish meat, which is basically murder in their society, how does he get his hands on it? Who gives it to him? So some of the OGs might remember the death theory I made quite a while back. If you haven't watched it, then we basically proved how fish were able to die and come back thanks to King Neptune. Well, since the only way of getting chum would be from killing fish, it's pretty obvious that Plankton has been doing
Plankton was killing fishes?
shady activities to try to get chum so he can supply his never-ending addiction of trying to reverse manufacture the Krabby Patty secret formula. We also see in the episode Enemy-in-Law that Plankton will hurt or kidnap anyone just to earn money. From the reactions of the citizens, it also seems to be a normal thing that happens often. We know he clearly doesn't care about his criminal record, so it wouldn't be too far for him to start killing the odd fish just to get some chum so he can try to use every ingredient possible in the English language to get the Krabby Patty recipe. Because Neptune will just give them their lives back, no one really knows what Plankton's been doing.
That was appalling! What was in that?
Oh, just the usual ingredients. Some jellyfish squeezings, whale blubber, seahorse snout, and a sprinkle of anchor rust.
How he actually goes through with these crimes, I'm gonna leave to your imagination to not ruin your childhood.
That's crazy.
Plankton has been selling chum for as long as he's been in the business to try to compete with his rival, Mr. Krabs. But after failing in comparison to Krabs, he decided to try to reverse engineer the formula that they made, and to do that he needs chum, which he gets from killing innocent fish. From what it seems, Plankton will never truly get the formula, and because of that the entire town will be forced to suffer.
Much information. Nice video, much information. Thank you for watching. I hope you will enjoy it. The more things I wasn't know, even if I watch much episodes if I was younger. Thank you for watching. Bye.